Accessibility and the Intellectually Disabled Community. This is a recording from the Digital Equity webinar series, offered by the University of Maryland Extension Marylanders online program in partnership with the University of Maryland College of Information and the Maryland Digital Equity Coalition, MDEC. District of Columbia, D.C. Department on Disability Services, Tech First Overview Presentation by Donald Clark. Program Development Specialist, Office of Policy, Planning, and Innovation, SOPPI. Department on Disability Services, DDS. Two administrations, Developmental Disabilities Administration, DDA. Services for Adults with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, IDD, via the Home and Community-Based Medicaid Waiver Program. 2,413 people supported. Assistive Technology and Remote Support Speech. Occupational Physical Therapy, Community-Based Residential, Wide Range, Wellness, Fitness Nutritional Nursing, In-Home Supports, Personal Care Companion Day, Habilitation, or Supported Employment Residential Behavioral Supports, Rehabilitation Services Administration, RSA, Vocational and Rehabilitation Services to people with disabilities to help secure, regain, or retain employment. 5,834 people supported. Assistive Technology, Educational Training, Disability-Related Skills, Training Job Search, and Placement on Job Supports, Job Coaching, Transportation and Training, Reader and Interpreter, Personal Assistance. The problem: digital divide, tech and digital info is the cornerstone of society for connected citizens. We're more reliant than ever on tech that has become integrated with everyday items such as watches, fridges, and toothbrushes that assist people with daily living. The pace at which tech is evolving is ever increasing. People with disabilities and older adults are often left on the sidelines when it comes to accessing tech that will enable them to lead independent and empowered lives. Service delivery systems that are reliant on supports being provided by qualified direct support professionals, DSP, are facing a shortage crisis. COVID-19 substantiated these findings and challenged continuity of services and supports. By bridging the gap, we have the chance to enhance people's power to live independently as possible in their community, home, and workplace. DDS Tech, First Tech First, represents DDS' commitment to harnessing tech to empower people with disabilities. This initiative is centered on the proactive use of tech tools to enhance independent living within the community, home, and workplace environments. At the core of Tech First is the principle that tech should be the primary consideration in support planning. This approach prioritizes tech solutions as natural, less intrusive support options, exploring them before considering in-person/direct supports. It's not merely about advocating for the inclusion of tech in support systems. It's about revolutionizing how support is conceptualized and delivered in disability services. By enabling individuals to do more for themselves to the best of their ability, tech becomes a catalyst for autonomy and empowerment. Forest Haven to Tech First, Evolution of Support Models. Forest Haven, 1925 to 1991. Large institutional settings. Closed to poor treatment and conditions, group home settings, early 1990s. Transition to smaller residential settings, often with 24/7 staffing supports. Community-based, late 1990s to 2000s. Person-centered, inclusive community living, DDS Tech. First, transitioning from care to tech-enabled support that fosters empowerment and independence. Direct supports to self-determination. Historically, service delivery focused heavily on in-person assistance. The doing-for approach often leads to staff completing tasks for people supported instead of enabling independence. Tech First redefines support by equipping people with the tech tools to do for themselves. Tech enables people to reach out to support staff virtually if and when support is required, maintaining a safety net while promoting independence. What type of tech? Enabling technology, ET. Use of various forms of off-the-shelf and/or customized devices. For example, sensors, mobile apps, smart home devices, remote support systems. By a person with disabilities to live as independently as possible. Assistive technology, AT. Any item, piece of equipment, software program, or product system that is used by a person with a disability to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities. Remote supports, RS, a method of delivering services virtually by support professional who is engaged with a person supported through equipment that enables live two-way communication, audio, video, and sensor-based tech. Assistive tech is mainstream access, smart speakers, smartphones, tablets, wearables, AAC, eye tracking, home automation, thermostats, auto doors, shades, light bulbs, and switches. Safety and security, anti-scald valves, smart door locks, smart doorbells, sensors and alerts, motion, door, fall detection, respiratory, heart rates. Daily living, smart induction, cooktops, smart med systems apps, task management, caregiver, money management, and wayfinding.
Help them achieve their goals. That's primarily done here at DC DDS through assistive technology services. This is one of the many services that are offered or are available to people eligible for our services and supports who could request this service, select a service provider to conduct an assessment, understand where their functioning is, what their previous tech utilization history is, what are their goals, and where does tech play a role in assisting them with achieving those goals or reaching greater independence. And that's through assistive technology services in our waiver program, as well as under the other administration I previously mentioned, Rehabilitation Services Administration, that primarily focuses on employment. But we also know how technology can help someone thrive in their workplace setting. And I won't go too heavy on this because I am accompanied by the other presenter from SafeInHome, and they'll definitely take a deep dive into remote supports. But we really are looking at this as another way to support people. Shout out to SafeInHome because this image is inspired by them, and just showing how remote supports can be set up in a home setting, leveraging sensor-based technology, connecting to that remote support professional from afar, but also us getting better at implementing the right tech tools for the person to use in a home setting to do for themselves again. So it can be various combinations of this, based on the person, where they are with their functioning and goals. And there are many use cases for remote supports that I'm sure the SafeInHome will get into. Just to share again and emphasize, DC and Maryland are not the only developmental disability state agencies who have really committed. And, this is an ongoing process with Tech First as ever. It's a living initiative, actualizing that service delivery model. But there are many others. Again, limited real estate on the slide deck. There are more states beyond this that are committed to the initiative, roughly around 27 different degrees, different years they've started. Just to share, your Ohio, Tennessee, and Missouri, I like to say, are the Tech First forefathers who were early adopters of this initiative, really trying to focus on this transition. As I close out, I just want to say on these few last slides that in addition to Tech First being an initiative that primarily focuses on adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, I believe that another community could greatly benefit from such an initiative. And that's older adults and how technology can enable older adults to age in place. As well as support longevity living and be a tool to help family caregivers and stay connected with their loved ones. For myself in DC, I really am trying to engage the DC Aging and Community Living, the Department of Aging and Community Living, to jump on board. We are seeing a lot of national attention from tech startups creating innovative solutions for older adults and targeting older adults. And what I've learned as I've watched this effort is that a lot of those tech solutions are mutually beneficial to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And most states also have a waiver program for older adults. just like there's a waiver program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. However, what the missing piece of the puzzle sometimes is for older adults in their waiver programs is the availability of assistive technology services and or remote support services, and it being funded through Medicaid, that waiver program. And that's leaving out a lot of underserved populations for older adults who may not be able to afford tech solutions out of pocket to acquire them. As we all know, Medicare will cover durable medical equipment, but these other tech solutions that will enable older adults to age in place are not as easily accessible through Medicare. And I think it's a great strategy to look to these waiver programs for older adults to make sure that they can access the tech they need. This is inconsistent. There are some states who have waiver programs for older adults where these are available. And this is just the facts, about the older adult population and their preference to age in place, knowing that only, over, 90% of them prefer to stay in their homes. But there are other challenges that may prevent them where they may need to transition to assisted living or nursing home settings. And again, how tech may be a solution to that problem. Again, just the emphasis on, waiver program disparity between IDD and older adults, and how I think, just like Maryland and DC, we could reach out to our aging partners or departments and say, look what we're doing through our waiver programs. Maybe this should be an interagency effort. We could mutually benefit from this as a result. So I tried to keep it under 20 minutes because I know we have another presenter here, and out of respect for them, they have great information as well. And I just want to thank everyone again for letting me come and join this opportunity. But I'm here after that for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Would you like to tell people before you go about your event coming up in November?
Yes. So about that, we have been doing Disability Tech Summit. This will be our third year. The first one was in 2022, followed by 2023. They were in-person events. However, this year we are going virtual, and we'll be showcasing a wide range of tech solutions. And I can share that information with the facilitators. Maybe they can get this out to everyone. Love to have you come join us. We're going to have more information coming out about who the presenters will be. This is looking like it will take place on December 5th and 6th. So stay tuned, and I'll be happy to disseminate that information.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And before I introduce our next expert, I wanted to just kind of let everyone know that Maryland became a technology first state in August of 2022, August 15th, through a governor proclamation. And part of that, part of what we're doing as a technology first state, the way Maryland approached it, is our goal is to ensure that all Marylanders with disabilities have awareness and access to technology in order to build the lives that they want in the communities that they want, as much as they can. So I kind of wanted to get that out there, building on some of the things that Donald said. So we're not only focusing on people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but the task force is made up of multiple partners, state partners, as well as community, I want to say advocates and other community partners that is helping us to build the infrastructure to ensure that that goal is met. So with all that said, and I did see the question about our contact information, and I'll get that to Jane to share with you afterwards. So next on as a presenter, our expert is Koshala Cole. She is a passionate advocate for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, currently serving as remote supports consultant at SafeInHome In this role, she works closely with individual families and case managers to assess the needs, recommended solutions that foster independence and safety while ensuring seamless and supportive experience for all parties involved. Koshala has always had a deep-rooted desire to be of service to others. Previously, Koshala has worked in home health, molecular diagnostic and lab services, where she was very successful in building lasting relationships with healthcare professionals, ensuring that they have the tools needed to provide exceptional care. Koshala's background also includes working with frontline and public health COVID task force with Virginia Department of Health, where she utilizes her communication skills, cultural sensitivity, and protect communities during the pandemic. With a degree in communication disorders, speech pathology, and audiology from North Carolina State University, and certificates of life coach, Koshala combines her technical experience with her strong commitment to improving lives. She is dedicated to empowering the IDD community, ensuring access to the tools and supports they need to thrive. Koshala, welcome.
Thank you again for the introduction. And again, my name is Koshala Cole. I'm a remote supports consultant with SafeInHome. And I'm here today to speak with you all about how remote supports and remote supports technology enable people with disabilities to access their environment with more dignity, accessibility, and independence. And Donald, thank you for the great introduction about remote support services. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Perfect, thank you. So I thought it would be great to start with this kind of upbeat video depicting some of the individuals using remote supports and the different ways in which they are supported. Some individuals are living alone with roommates or at home with family. You will see some different types of technology in this video, like tablets, sensor technology, like an unattended stove sensor, and medication management. So as Donald mentioned, Maryland is a technology-first state, meaning that technology, rather than in-person staff support, is the first option provided to those seeking services. Use of technology promotes autonomy, self-direction, and community engagement while honoring the preferences of individuals who want more independence and time to explore their own capabilities. Living through the pandemic has forced us to become more reliant on technology to communicate, support, connect, and remain productive. As technology becomes more prevalent throughout our lives, the possibilities of what we can achieve through technology have become even greater. There is a vast potential in using technology to support people with disabilities. Remote supports is accessible, scalable, and sustainable. It provides innovative technology-based solutions for individuals seeking alternatives to traditional 24/7 in-person staff support. Embracing technology such as remote supports promotes meaningful participation, social inclusion, self-determination, and a quality of life, which also addresses the direct support shortages. Now, I want you to think about this. What if? What if you were always treated like a child, never got to decide what clothes to wear or how to spend your money? What if you never got to make a mistake? What if you got on the wrong bus once? And because of that, you were never allowed to take the bus ever again. For many of us, that would never happen. We'd lead lives as liberated adults, affording us the ability to make decisions, even if they may not always be the best decisions. But the key phrase there is make decisions. Everyone should have the opportunity to have a say in what they want and what they need. Many of you may be familiar with the term dignity of risk. This concept emphasizes that every individual has the right to make their own choices, take risks, and experience the consequences of those decisions. It's about finding a balance between safety and autonomy while understanding that overprotection can limit freedom and hinder personal growth. This is why it's so important to consider technology and remote supports as a solution to enhance independence and autonomy. So I'm sure you're kind of wondering, what exactly is remote supports? So at a very basic level, remote supports are a tool for communication that includes technologies such as tablets or smartphones for human-to-human interactions, paired with devices that enable connectivity to a home. These include communicating with someone is in danger, needs support, or has veered from a typical routine. There are sensors and communication devices that produce an alert that can be responded to by remote support specialists, natural support such as a neighbor, or even a nearby staff member. So I want to show a quick video that's developed by the Oklahoma Human Services that gives a good overview of remote supports.
What is enabling technology and remote support? Enabling technologies empower people to achieve independence in their home, community, and at work. Enabling technology may include automated medication dispensers, video doorbells, emergency response systems, motion sensors, and much more. Remote support uses enabling technologies to provide virtual assistance. Remote support may include video calls on smart devices, sensor systems, medication schedules, and much more. Plus, remote support staff will maintain contact through virtual check-ins. To learn more about DDS services, visit okdhs.org.
So how remote supports works? When implementing remote supports, we always start with the person supported. Everyone on service has a unique support plan through SafeInHome that is specific to them. Not one person on service has the same needs or goals as anyone else. Connected to that person supported are the assistive technologies or sensor technologies. Assistive technologies can come in various forms, such as wearable devices that can be used to detect seizures, and GPS locations to immediately communicate with staff or family if someone is lost or has had a fall, or medication dispensers to provide reminders for medication compliance. Sensor technologies also come in many different types, including motion sensors, stove unattended sensors, and water leak detectors, just to name a few. SafeInHome has over 60 different types of devices that can help an individual live more independently and safely. So a question we get a lot is, how does the remote support specialist come into the mix with all of this? Well, SafeInHome operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, ensuring that staff are always available to provide support. Individuals can call us for any reason, whether it's experiencing heightened anxiety, loneliness, or needing help cooking spaghetti. Remote support staff can always receive alerts from sensors like doors and motion sensors or wearable devices. So for example, if someone falls or feels lost in the community or leaves home at an unsafe time, they can have either a wearable device that they can press a button and call for immediate help, or we will receive those sensors if someone leaves their home at a time that they're not supposed to. Remote supports can always provide scheduled check-ins for medication compliance, health monitoring, or simply for companionship. Every interaction is documented in our detailed support notes, which are uploaded weekly for review by the case manager or any other member of the support team who the individual has given permission to access these reports. So I want to talk about an individual we have on service right now in Maryland. His name and picture have been changed for privacy, but this is Mark. Mark is a 27-year-old young man who lives in an apartment with, well, he was living in an apartment with a roommate assigned by another provider to help keep the place clean and provide overnight support. However, the roommate caused more problems than help, making the apartment messy and stressful for Mark and his parents. Mark's goal was to live independently and have the apartment to himself, often telling his parents, "I think I can do this on my own." At a transitioning youth conference, Mark's parents discovered remote support services and thought it could be the perfect solution. After consulting with Mark, his parents, SafeInHome, the provider agency, and the case manager, a support plan was put in place. All technology was installed, the roommate moved out, and Mark got the apartment to himself with an added layer of safety with remote supports. Mark quickly became a regular caller to the remote supports team. He is very social and enjoys chatting with the team late at night after returning home from hanging out with friends. His parents are relieved they no longer receive those late night calls from Mark with numerous questions and conversations about all the interesting people he met that evening. Mark has achieved his goal of living independently, and his family is happy with how well he's adjusted. He recently told me that he loves not having someone tell him what to do all the time, and that if he wants to have friends over, he can, and still feel safe with the technology he has in place and having remote supports always on standby. This is a quick video from the perspective of two parents, Bertha and Donna, who describe what having the gift of choice has meant to their adult children, Ben and Emma.
Ben wanted it all. He said, I want to go to college and I want to get a job. I want to live in my own apartment. And my husband and I were like, wow. Once we accepted that, then you think, okay, so how are we going to make this work? You know, you're not independent because you move out of your parents' basement. You have the capability to do some things, but you have the agency to make decisions. And for your disabled child to become independent and able to make decisions and choices for themselves, just really, I think, increases your commitment to make certain they can do so safely. You've heard, experts talk about the dignity of risk. Why can't Ben walk 2 blocks up to the grocery store and get a quart of milk? Independence says, let him try. And so independence requires as much of the person as it requires of those who support that person. It requires a release on the part of me as a parent, my son becoming independent, and allow him to form his own visions for himself.
I mean, it's incredible, right? I mean, it's given us the confidence, and her the confidence, that she can be safe, that she has a way to communicate to us and with us, to be able to communicate what she needs, and just her being in control of her life. I mean, we could not do this without this technology. I mean, it's absolutely no way. But what the world offers her now that we have these devices is, I mean, there's nothing going to stop her or, her friends in the disability world. I mean, Emma has a right to do what she wants to do when she wants to do it. And not only is it a right, it's what she wants for her life.
To be a mom and having been told for years what your child will never do, what your child will never learn, what your child will never accomplish, and then at this stage for him to be able to pick up the board and say, Mom, I love my life. It is so vindicating.
So what makes remote supports accessible? First and foremost, it is person-centered. Remote supports is tailored to fit each individual's unique goals, preferences, and support needs. The technology is user-friendly. Remote supports is part of a solution that includes devices and technology that are simple to use, making them suitable for individuals with varying levels of comfort with technology. Remote supports is adaptable in that it changes and grows to meet the evolving needs of individuals as their lives change. Remote supports is scalable. Having the ability to serve multiple individuals with one support staff makes it possible to reach a larger population, addressing the current staffing shortage in direct care services. And finally, remote supports is sustainable because this service will grow alongside advancements in technology, because the two go hand in hand to ensure continued innovation and support. Technology is most effective when it is designed around the person and connected to goals and outcomes. As with more traditional supports, remote supports ideally will be continuously evaluated, modified, and/or faded over time. Just wanted to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to present about remote supports. And this is my contact information right here on this slide. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. There is a QR code here. If you want to scan the QR code, it will take you to the SafeInHome Maryland site as well. And again, we will be sharing contact information. Thank you again.
Thank you, Koshala, for the beautiful slides and the stories, so we can really see how technology is working to help people to live the lives that they want to independently and safely. We have, Jane, did you want us to open up for questions? Because we have a little bit of time left.
Yeah, this is Jane, and absolutely. Thank you so much, Donald and Koshala. That was fabulous information. It's amazing to see the way that technology fits in each of our lives and especially enhances the ability for people that have disabilities to be more participatory in it. So thank you so much. But yes, questions, please.
So, Koshala, what does SafeInHome look like when it's a roommate situation? Like not a supported group home, but maybe just a home with a few friends?
So it depends, right? It's going to depend on the goals, but SafeInHome is specific to the individual we support. And we do have situations where we support multiple individuals, like roommates. And we support them very differently. We provide, communication tools like the tablet so that individuals can communicate with us one-on-one. And it looks like this, just talking to, live interaction. And again, they can reach out to us for any reason. But we will provide, different types of devices within the home, even when there's a roommate situation. And because due to their support plan, we will know that there's a roommate in the home and kind of what hours we are supporting, individuals within the home.
Thank you. And I also want to say, when there's a roommate situation, as a state rule, we have to get permission from both parties of the home to have remote supports in place. Let's see, how can clients access remote supports regarding applications, or is it a private resource? Remote supports is if you have an individual who is on the DDA waiver. It is a waiver service that the person can have sit down with their case manager and add to their person-centered plan.
Stephanie, can I make one comment? And that is the same for DC under the waiver as well. But I just want to say to the audience, if you noticed through the presentation, the last thing you saw was cameras. And, remote supports is not ongoing surveillance. It's responsive in nature. And I think it's very important to always say that, because I know the what ifs and things of that nature and Big Brother's watching, but this is really set up in a way, as you can see with Koshala's presentations, that they're talking about tablets, they're talking about sensor-based technology. It's a less intrusive way. And if we really think about it, what's the most intrusive level of support? A physical person in your personal space, in telling you or judging what you're watching on TV, or even sitting on your couch while you're in your bedroom or something of that nature. So this really is an innovative way for people to have that lifeline to support if and when they need it, and also give them their personal space. It's often a trade-off, to get that support of that personal space and autonomy. So great presentation, Koshala. Just a virtual fist bump to you. Great job.
Jane, you have your hand up.
I do, thank you. Yeah, I think it's really important for me to know, as a professional who works with lots of different disabilities, that as I work with someone who has a developmental disability, now I know my awareness has expanded, thanks to you all, that in certain situations, I may be talking with someone and suddenly they join with remote support. And now I can see that as, okay, great. That's normal, and we can interact, and that other additional support is going to help us in our interactions as well. One thing I'm really curious about is how I know that there's probably different levels, especially at this point in time, as we become people who engage more and more in technology. So you've got some people who are transitioning out of high school and maybe getting these digital skills as they do that. Then you've got another group of people who don't have those skills yet. So tell us more about how people are acquiring those skills so that they can access remote support and all those kinds of technology services.
So I'll touch on that a little bit. So the good thing about remote supports is that the technology really, when I say user friendly, it is user friendly, especially like our two-way tablet. It's literally a button on the front of it that says call. They touch that button and they get a live person. So there isn't a lot of necessarily training involved with things like that. And as far as like the sensor technology, these are things that are working in the background that an individual doesn't need to be necessarily trained on. So that's one side of it. But with SafeInHome, we do have technicians that come in and do all the installation and all training on the different types of devices and technology. They also do all the maintenance on those devices. But we try to keep things as simple as possible. When we talk about like wearable devices that are for like GPS location or for emergencies, you literally touch a button. It's something that you wear around your neck. You can touch a button and it's going to start, placing those phone calls, sending out an alert to let someone know that you need help. So they really are easy to use. The devices are really, really more easy to use. Anything that requires any kind of high tech, which we really don't have a lot of that, are things that the individual themselves usually are not interacting with. It's things that are happening in the background.
If I can say, from the state agency's perspective or department's perspective, it's strategies, right? How can we create spaces in the community where people can explore these tech solutions in modeled home settings, for example, or also looking to our local assistive technology centers or programs. We see them as a key ally to Tech First. These are, through the Assistive Technology Act, centers in the district, in Maryland, and other states that are there to be a resource to not only adults with IDD, but older adults to explore, touch, feel, and play with tech. Actually get demos. And it helps us with the informed decision-making process if someone does come through our service delivery system to get matched to tech. That's a great resource to point them to understand what the various options are. I think a big missing piece of the puzzle is digital literacy and actually expanding what that is. Right now, digital literacy courses often are focused on cell phone 101, internet safety and security. But as these type of solutions become more prevalent in our day-to-day lives, I believe that this needs to be another topic within that digital literacy programs or resources we see throughout our community. So another strategy has been for us to partner up with our local broadband office, who is responsible for the digital equity plan, to see what kind of resources or settings we can bring forth in our community. And every state has a digital equity plan and an entity or department responsible for it, which with a large amount of funding that's coming to your states. And it's the opportune time to partner with them to let them know this is one of the underserved populations. In addition to the digital literacy 101, we're also looking to expand that, and how can we create these resources for people to learn about tech.
Thank you, Donald. That was very good. And in addition, the same as everything Donald said, ditto, and Marilyn, but also wanted to kind of send people to as well is more not traditional, but things that everyone can access. So Apple has classes certain days, the library, your community library sometimes has some technology classes for older adults, as well as I noticed Microsoft has been pushing out a lot of webinars to help people to understand the new things that they are including to make their computer accessible and help people work independently. Jane?
Yeah, and I just want to remind everyone once again that the program I work for, Maryland Accessible Telecommunication, does provide these internet-based devices, which could be an iPad or a cellular device, depending on the evaluation and the need, available to people that have disabilities, are low income, and over 3 years old that live in Maryland. So this is another resource if you have an older adult and they would benefit from this kind of technology, but they can't get it through any other kind of service. We are here for everyone, so please consider us. Yeah, Stephanie, thank you so much, and Koshala and Donna as well. We have a few more minutes for other questions. If anybody's curious, comments, so forth. Please, let's hear from you.
Sophia.
I don't have a question. I actually sent something in the chat for it's for my ASL class. I need a picture of one of the presenters. If you guys are willing to be in the picture.
You'd like us to send you a picture, or you want to tell me how you like that to happen?
You can pin my video, and then so I could be next to one of the presenters. Okay. Thank you so much. And it's really nice that I get to learn all the help for people with disabilities. Now it's mostly online. It's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think I put my contact information in the chat as well as Koshala and Donald's contact information was shared in the chat.
I just wanted to mention something really quickly. Donald was talking about, using different types of technology with our aging population. And I'm sure as you listened to Donald, as you listened to my presentation, you probably thought, yeah, these, using this technology would really be good for the aging population as well. And just want to tell you a quick story. I was doing a presentation yesterday, and my mother-in-law is here, and she's 94. And while I was presenting, she was in the other room choking, actually. And she has one of our devices, which is called a geocom. So, and she did have that with her. She would, she could have pressed the button. She had it with her, but if she would have had a tablet from remote, from SafeInHome, and she touched that button on the tablet, they would have been able to physically see what was happening with her and call emergency services. So it's just, keeping those types of things in mind. So it's not only just for, check-in calls and communication and things like that. It is also for those times when there's an emergency and they may not be able to pick up the phone and call someone, but if they touch a tablet and there's a video and you can see, something going on with that individual, then our remote support staff would have been able to assist her. So I just thought I'd share that because it literally just happened yesterday.
Thank you, Koshala, for sharing that. Thank you, Jane, and the Digital Equity team. We appreciated the invite. This was fun. And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. Great presentation.